This is dedicated to William Shakespeare, Stephen King, and Anne Margaret. Campground is quiet. Everyone's gone. The pine needles are smoking as I sing a song about unfulfilled romance and untouched desire, poking around in the ashes, too close to the fire, poking around in the ashes, too close to the fire. Her name was Vanessa. She tore me apart. She left smoke on my brain. She put rocks in my heart. Yeah, this is about me and my dad and my brother. We went duck hunting and goose hunting with Errol, and Errol's named Errol Wayne Lonsberry for his mom. Apparently named him for John Wayne and Errol Flynn, and he was Rice Farmer of the Year 2 times in a row. Rice Farmer of the Year of Louisiana. And Errol is, he's basically, and he's pretty cool. He's what you call a half-ass coon-ass, because he can't speak English or French very well, but he speaks them both. and he took us out there hunting, and I wanted to be cool, and I wanted to, impress Errol, because, I thought he was pretty cool. So my dad let me borrow his boots and his camouflage overalls, and we went out to the blind where the ducks, were flying around, and we went to go, and I had these boots on, and we went in the blind, and there was a goose that came over, and somebody shot the goose, and it came down, and I thought it was me, but it probably wasn't, but somebody did anyway, and it was still the goose was still kind of struggling around, So, me being the youngest of the bunch, Errol said, get that goose, Adam. So I did, and I got up, and I got out of the blind there, and when I stepped in the mud to get the goose, the boots on my feet, my dad's boots, came off my feet, and I was like standing there in my socks and the camouflage and shotgun shells hanging from my chest, and of course they were kind of laughing, everybody was kind of laughing, and then I thought, so I pulled at the gun, and I shot the bird, and I was pretty close, I was like really close to the bird, I shot it, kicked back on my shoulder, and I fell right on my ass in the mud there. And then Errol looked at my dad and he said, I ain't never seen that before. Mr. Errol, he lives on the banks of Lake Arthur, where your windshield gets foggy, where your back roads unwind. It's a long way from Shreveport, not too far from Gaydon, and it's close to the home that I left behind. It's close to the home that I left behind. Mr. Errol's a farmer, he's a father, he's a hunter, and he talks to the ducks and the geese in the blind. He works hard for the lives that he hopes to make better, and he lives by the graveyard of the rusted combines. Yeah, he lives by the graveyard of the rusted combines. And he held my hand when my boots got too heavy, with the mud from the rice field coming to my behind. We set out the decoys in the dark on the levee, and we walked through the graveyard of the rusted combines. Yeah, we walked through the graveyard of the rusted combines. There's coffee and biscuits on the stove in the kitchen. There's a crack in the ceiling. There's a screened-in front door. When the fog starts to settle on the banks of Lake Arthur, I can still taste the whiskey from the night just before. It's a Crown Royal whiskey from the night just before. And it's hard to get up at 4 in the morning. Put your guns, put your shells, put your wine in a sack. We look like some militia with our boots and our camo, and with a bird dog named Milo, he's asleep in the back. And he held my hand when my boots got too heavy, with the mud from the rice field coming to my behind. We set out the decoys in the dark on the levee, and we walked through the graveyard of the rusted combine. Yeah, we walked through the graveyard of the rusted combine. Hey! A combine's a monster, a combine's a savior. Looking down at the blades, I see heaven and hell. Cold steel cut the rice crops for acres and acres, and filled how many barrels? Man, I cannot tell. Filled how many dryers? Man, I cannot tell. From the banks of Lake Arthur to the Mermitau River, there's water as far as your good eyes can see. In the Lake Arthur bar, all the old men get rowdy. They got bottles of whiskey that are older than me. And he held my hand when my boots got too heavy, with the mud from the rice field coming to my behind. We set out the decoys in the dark on the levee, and we walked through the graveyard of the rusted combine. Yeah, we walked through the graveyard of the rusted combine. Sometimes I dream of a girl in a pickup with her windows rolled down, with her radio on. When you look at the cypress on the Highway 190, you give her a wave there and you sing Jolie Blonde. Yeah, you give her a wave and you sing Jolie Blonde. Mr. Errol's a good friend, he's never a stranger. When I come back, it seems like I've always been here. And there's a sign in his kitchen, it's written in French. It says, when you run out of Schlitz, you run out of beer. And he held my hand when my boots got too heavy, with the mud from the rice field coming to my behind. We set out the decoys in the dark on the levee, and we walked through the graveyard of the rusted combine. Yeah, we walked through the graveyard of the rusted combine.